Hi, everyone. Welcome to the latest of the Overboard Network, a Below Deck podcast. We're back with episode 3 of Below Deck Med titled A Whole Yada Scandal, which, to be honest, Sean, I'm a big fan of the wordplay there, but not sure there's so much scandal, and we'll get into it.
Mm,
Uh, in this week's episode, we'll conclude on the first night out, shake off the hangover, and get going on Charter number 2. Now, there are no new reviews on the Pod Center this week. However, if you listen and you like the podcast, please consider leaving us a review and we'll share it on the pod. Uh, Sean, let's get right into the episode here. Now, we'll start right at the top with the night out. Now, I know we're coming off Sailing Yacht, where nights out were an absolute all time high.
mm.
How'd we do on night one of Sailing Yacht's first true night out?
I loved it. I loved it. Couple of reasons why. Well, look, Reagan dancing is like, how do you make a GIF, man? Because I don't know, but that so
No.
good. I don't care what people say. They're making fun of her. She looked great. If you don't have rhythm but you have enthusiasm, that's all you need.
It's a real fake it till you make it situation going
And
on there.
no one's more enthusiastic than her. I thought she looked cool. I
Yeah.
That's not me being ironic. And John, it was also they're in like a busy club. I know it's outside. I don't want to. This is the last time I'll do the whole like post COVID, like how cool this is thing. But like I don't know, the past Legacy, Med, and Selenia season, they were in like clubs dancing.
Yep.
So this is great. It was just great to see, and it's always great when a guy gets really jealous for no reason. Like
Now
Dave,
we're talking Dave, right? Yep.
Dave is jealous of Jason.
For some reason. So I had to like rewind it because all of a sudden, like Dave like starts going after Jason, being like, "Oh, are you okay, man? Are you doing okay? Are you okay?" Like chirping him really. And I have no idea why. Was it because like Tosh laughed at something Jason did at some point? I have no idea.
What he does he uses Kyle's foot as a phone. And I'll say that's whatever. Like I have a silly sense of humor too.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it's that hilarious, but Natasha thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. And so if like she's being a little cold towards you because you told other people about your previous relationship, and now she's laughing way too hard at some other guy, I could see that like being a little bit annoying. Like, hey, what's going on here?
Yep.
And he after that, like when they leave dinner, he's like, oh, like what's going on between you and your boyfriend? And like I get you're a little jealous. I get that. I mean, she's kind of flirting back with Jason a little bit. And it doesn't I think does Jason tell her she's really good looking?
I don't even know if he says that. I mean, he compliments her in some way, but
Yeah. It was some pretty like poor basic flirting, right?
yeah.
And Natasha's like, whatever, accepting it a little bit, but that's really it. And then like it's not like Natasha and Jason are hanging out at the club or anything, or like dancing together. So for Dave to still be mad at Jason back in the boat, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he goes over the top. I mean, it's the classic like guy's upset that his girls like decided not to vibe with him, and so he's just taking it out on somebody. Dave's clearly not a good drunk, but I'll also say he's also might not be a good night out guy. So, like last week we talked about Dave just kind of like having like odd stares at dinner and being like an odd guy, and now we've got like at the club, he's the only one like not partying, having a good time. He's like sitting drinking like cranberry vodkas by himself.
Being a
It's just
sad sack, yeah.
yeah, it's not a good look. It kind of reminds me of the last Below Deck Med chef, Matt,
Hmm.
like where he's just like he's okay on deck, but he's a real weird hang. And so I feel like Dave might be like a weird hang when he drinks.
I'm worried too. He wears the weird hat to cover up his ears for some reason.
Yeah.
And yeah, he wasn't having a good time. And yeah, it carries back to the boat with him. Was he like trying to fight Jason? Like what was he
I
really mad at him about? He was basically just like, hey Jason, what's your deal, dude?
yeah, I mean I think this was more him being drunk and being upset with Natasha and just trying to take it out on somebody. But it
Taking
just
it. Yeah.
it just wasn't working. I'll tell you one thing I did really enjoy that night though. Natalia
Mm.
and Storm. I think that might be a thing. Storm seems like a real like amp up guy. Like he's a good he's there to have a good time. Natalia knows how to dance. I think they're going to be the unsung heroes so far early this season.
Natalia looked great on the dance floor. She did, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good for. We need more of them next episode. John, one more thing about the whole Dave Jason tension. Jason brought up like, I don't fight. The last time we got to a fight was at a Taco Bell, and they show him wearing a Duke tennis T-shirt.
Yep.
We know he went to Purdue, but like, I hope they're arguing over Duke tennis.
Was that the day? Maybe he was like, no, JJ Redick's really good, and he's going to be good in the pros.
Oh yeah, I hope it was like a college basketball fight. Yeah, Taco Bell. Yeah, I don't know.
I get it. I get it. So Sean, yeah, so we've kind of covered like back of the bow. I mean, honestly, the only other thing that happens that night that's worth talking about is Dave and Natasha sleep in separate areas. So Natasha goes to the guest cabin to sleep in, and Dave like cries himself to sleep. Like I think if these two are going to be a couple this season, it's going to be absolute fireworks because we know what happened the next day, and they like immediately make up.
Yeah, this is kind of unheard of for Below Deck, where you have a couple. There's been a few times where there's been a couple that joins the boat together, but not like these two. And like, yeah, Dave's way more emotional than he lets on, and I don't know. I'm not sure what's gonna happen next, but hey, watch what happens, right?
Yeah. So the next day, Natasha hits Dave with an all-time. I just need to focus on me and not deal with drama and stress. And then like 3 hours later, they screw in the shower. So I think it's going to be absolute fireworks. And I think while I could just say, Natasha seems a little bit like a mess, Dave seems like a mess.
Confirmed sex, right? Definitely.
I mean, 30 minutes in there.
That was way too long of a shower.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Damn. It's good. Yeah, you're right. I don't see that stopping. They're not going to like break up. Like it'll just be back and forth. It'll be like Ronnie and Sammy on the Jersey Shore.
It has to be. Yeah. I mean, because it's not like it's too close quarters to be anything else.
Yeah. They literally live like sleep in the same room.
Yeah.
And yeah, every time they go out, they're going into a fight. And I hope I could see Dave like fighting like a local. Because now, like post COVID, we're gonna have like some locals involved at these nights out. I kind of foresee that.
Dave does seem like a guy who's kind of like got like a short circuit. So
yeah.
Sean, the day after, so not only is Dave and Natasha off to a rough start, Reagan's off to a pretty tough start here. So the hangover does not go unnoticed, and Sandy is not happy. So kind of walk me through how you thought the interaction that happened the rest of the day between Reagan and Sandy went.
Oh man, I guess we'll start with the preference sheet meeting. So obviously, like Sandy, like hears over the radio that like Storm is looking for Reagan. She sees that Reagan's not like helping the deck crew out, and so she calls everyone for the preference sheet meeting, which is like seems odd they did it like that close to the charter happening.
Yeah,
but and Reagan kind of just shows up late to it and like super disheveled. And Sandy's like, "Oh, where have you been?" And so Reagan tries to throw out the food poisoning thing. Now, I've had food poisoning before where my work that I was just hungover.
Yep.
I'm like, no, I wish I was hungover. But yeah, Reagan's clearly just hungover. And Sandy is not buying it for 1 second. And that I couldn't pay attention to anything else in that preference sheet meeting because I think it was like midway through it. She just looks at Reagan and goes, "Do you have anything to add?"
It's brutal. A little like kicking a girl while she's down,
Oh, like, big time, yeah.
Like she's already not having a good time, and also like what is the bosun really add in most of those meetings? Like it's just like usually like Eddie like having like a smart ass comment about something.
Yeah, and even Reagan tries to like, we'll put out the toys then, right? And Cindy's like, yeah, all of them. But like that's
Yeah,
usually all the bosun contributes is like, unless there's a beach picnic, it's just like, oh, the guests love water sports.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I have a hard time as we get through this episode with Sandy and Reagan. So here's something I'll say, Sean. We saw last season that Sandy's very reluctant to fire anyone. She always says, "I want to start with the same crew that I want to finish with the same crew I started with." Right
Mhm.
now, obviously, replacing a bosun's really tough, but if we get to a point here where like Reagan's just not cutting it, I'm worried that Sandy's just not going to cut ties because, like, listen, Lexi was on that boat last year way too long.
For a long time.
Yep. And Sandy's already shown she's just kind of like not happy with Reagan a little bit more. But I mean, if Reagan doesn't pick this up, are we looking at, how many strikes can somebody get before they're out?
I wonder if Sandy will try to demote her. And then Reagan just quits.
That's so tough, though. Like, you can't, like, you can go from like lead deckhand back to deckhand, I guess, and that's even rough. But I do think you just have to, like, if you're gonna do anything, I think you just have to like let her go and say like, Storm, you're now the new bosun or lead deckhand.
That happened to someone. Um,
Well, one year there was no bosun. I think there was just a lead deckhand.
yeah, Nico.
Yeah.
Oh no, John. When Kelly was the bosun, the guy that was the hair model,
Yep.
I think he was the lead deckhand, and then Kelly just made him a deckhand.
Got it. So you can get demoted.
Trevor, his name is Trevor.
Trevor. So yeah, but like that's getting demoted like within the department, not from a department head. I mean, we're talking semantics here. We don't know what's going to happen.
You're right. That's they've been literally taking a strip away from her,
Right.
which that's a whole uniform thing. But dude, that like we'll get to the other stuff, but the preference sheet meeting, like Sandy hates her.
Yeah, I think she does.
It's bad. It's bad. I guess do you want to get into the charter guest or do we get into the I don't know, like there's so much Sandy Reagan stuff today.
Yeah, I mean, we could just focus, but let's talk about the guests for a little bit. So they're young people. They look like they're in their like late 20s, early 30s, or maybe even early or mid 20s. I don't know. But
Emily?
it was yeah, it was so funny. They're like, oh yeah, where do you live? Yada yada. Cindy's making small talk, and then she's like, my parents own a bunch of brokerages. So I guess we found out how the guest paid for the boat, right?
Yes, I kind of like that she wasn't she kind of owns it, like, my family's money. Like they're
Yeah,
from Idaho too.
got it.
So probably one of the richer families in Idaho.
Yeah,
And it's just like, yep, that's how I have money. Here's all my friends. Here we go. Like
well,
she
it's
wasn't
so
trying to pretend like she was like she did it all herself or anything. I
well
don't
because
know.
she started it though. She's like, I'm in real estate, and she's like, well, yeah, but also my family has a bunch of brokerages, so we're all in real estate.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I feel like a lot of rich kids that like work in their business pretend like they did it all themselves. And
Yeah,
there,
this girl's
there's
owning up to it. Yeah,
yeah, there's some honesty there, which I
yeah,
appreciated. There's really nothing else about them. They are really drunk.
yep.
They seem like fine people.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a common theme. They're just going to drink a lot and jump in the water a lot. Speaking
Yeah.
of getting in the water, Sean, it was a struggle to watch them try to get everything out here. The deck crew just has no organization. That starts with Reagan, it ends with Reagan. But honestly, throughout this episode, what I was getting kind of sick of was Jason. The dude is just like just kind of like a pain.
Agreed.
Like he's like just sour on the whole, like my boss isn't perfect or I'm not the boss. So he's just kind of like resisting everything or like giving a lot of back talk. And now listen, is Reagan a great boss? No, I don't think so. But he's just adding like unnecessary fuel to the fire here.